I never thought my HOA president would steal my boat. Let me rephrase that: I never thought anyone would be brazen enough to walk onto my property, cut my lock, and tow away something I owned. But that's exactly what Karen did. She wasn't always like this. When I first moved into the neighborhood, she was just the over-involved HOA president, the kind who sent passive-aggressive emails about trash cans being visible from the street and grass being an inch too tall. Annoying, yes, but tolerable. Things changed when I bought the boat. It wasn't huge, just a modest fishing boat I'd dreamed of owning for years. I worked overtime, skipped vacations, and finally made it happen. I parked it in my driveway, behind the fence, fully within HOA guidelines. But Karen didn't like it. She came by the next day, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown, clipboard in hand, and said,
"Boats aren't aesthetically pleasing in this neighborhood."
I calmly explained that I'd reviewed the bylaws. There were no restrictions against boat parking on personal driveways, especially if they weren't visible from the street. I even printed out the rulebook and highlighted the relevant section. She didn't care. She sniffed, mumbled something about lowering property values, and walked off. The next morning, the boat was gone. I thought it had been stolen. I called the police, filed a report, and even checked with local tow yards. Nothing. Then my neighbor Mike showed me his Ring camera footage. Karen, in broad daylight, unlocking my gate, attaching her own tow hitch, and driving off with my boat like she owned the damn thing. I was stunned, furious, but also cautious. Karen was connected. Her husband was a retired sheriff's deputy, and she bragged often about her friends in high places. Still, theft was theft. I showed the footage to the police and to my lawyer. Things moved slow until 2 days later, when something far bigger happened. The FBI showed up at Karen's house. Black SUVs, jackets with yellow letters. The whole neighborhood froze. We watched from behind curtains as agents carried out boxes, computers, and even one of her husband's filing cabinets. The rumor mill went wild. Tax fraud? Money laundering? Something involving offshore accounts? I wasn't going to lie, I was glued to my porch. That same day, I got a call from an agent. They'd seen my police report. They wanted a copy of the Ring footage. Turns out, my boat wasn't the only thing Karen had taken. She'd been using her position in the HOA to seize property she deemed non-compliant boats, trailers, even one guy's vintage motorcycle. Some of it had been sold. Some hidden in a rented storage unit under her cousin's name. It was all part of a quiet scam. She'd fake fines, send threats, and when people didn't comply, she took their stuff, all while pretending it was enforcement. The FBI had been investigating her for months. My footage? It was the final nail in the coffin. 3 weeks later, Karen was formally charged. Theft, fraud, conspiracy. Her husband, too, for aiding and covering up her actions. Their bank accounts were frozen. Her perfect image shattered. And my boat? Returned in perfect condition. The FBI towed it back themselves, agent in uniform, full apology and all. My neighbors watched the whole thing. It was the quietest Karen's lawn had ever been. Since then, the HOA's been quiet. A new interim president stepped in, one who actually reads the bylaws instead of using them as a weapon. I keep my boat in the same spot. No one says a word. Sometimes I still look out the window, half expecting Karen's SUV to cruise by, her judgmental glare burning through the windshield. But that chapter's over. Funny how someone so obsessed with rules thought they didn't apply to her. Turns out, the law does care where your boat is, especially if it's not yours. And me? I take the boat out more often now. Because freedom, real freedom, is knowing that justice sometimes sails back, loud and proud.